Hey Pokemon Masters, Bookkeeper Toby here, and I got a very simple question for you. Bulbasaur, Charmander, or Squirtle? There's only one right answer, and I'm sure you'll all argue about it in the comments while I play the intro. Let's go. Okay, and the answer was... I'm gonna let you know at the end of the video. I don't want 2/3 of you leaving just because you disagree with me right at the beginning. That said, we could just go to the experts. Red, Blue, Leaf from the games, from the manga, Ash and Gary from the show. We could go to the pros who came from Pallet Town, see what they chose and who the correct starter really is. I'm talking about every version of them from every single Pokemon game, and that includes the game that's sponsoring this video. A special thank you to DNA and Pokemon Masters for sponsoring the video. And all three of them, Red, Leaf, and Blue, are there with their Kanto starter partners in their Signa suits. And if I'm going too fast for you, Pokemon Masters is a free to start Pokemon adventure on your phone, downloadable using the link at the top of the description, of course, available on the Google Play and Apple Store. Taking place on the Isle of Pasio, where the greatest Pokemon Masters from all across the Pokemon world and even different Pokemon canons are coming together to take part in the Pokemon Masters League in 3 versus 3 real-time battles that you can either do by yourself or play cooperatively with friends. Pokemon Masters is currently celebrating 1 year since release, and they've been working with the channel pretty much since they came out, and I love that because for me, learning about the Pokemon trainers, the Pokemon world, that's what this channel is all about. My favorite bit about Pokemon Masters is just learning about the characters. Like, they do some really cool stuff in there. Like, for example, take the characters of Chris and Lyra. Chris from Pokemon Crystal version, Lyra from Heart Gold and Soul Silver. For the longest time, Pokemon fans thought that they might be the same character, but in Pokemon Masters, they're both there with different starters and different motives. Learning about the characters is the thing that makes me the happiest in this game. And as I mentioned, right now, Red, Blue, and Leaf are all there with their sync pair partners. So click that link at the top of the description, join in the fun. And if you log into the game right now, all you have to do is log in once and you get 3,000 gems for your sync pair scout, which is enough to get 10 characters and their sync pair partners. So what are you waiting for? Click that link at the top of the description, head on over to the Google Play or Apple Store and download the game today. And thank you to DNA and Pokemon Masters for sponsoring this video. Which is all about that, the classic Kanto trio. I say classic trio because Red, Blue, and Leaf, or as she's sometimes otherwise known, Green, have been kind of a trio since the beginning. But as their names might suggest, they originated at the time that the first Pokemon games, Pokemon Red and Green in Japan, or Red and Blue in the West, they originated at the time those games came out, where the only playable character was Red, and that was you. And to be clear, Red has no definitive starters in those games. If we look right back to the very beginning, you can choose whoever you want. Charmander, Bulbasaur, or Squirtle. The character of Leaf or Green, they don't show up in the game. The third starter is never picked, and your rival always picks the starter that is strong against you. And when the character of Red reappears in Pokemon Gold and Silver, Red has all 3 of the starters and Pikachu, while the rival character, Blue, who's now a gym leader, has none of the starting Pokemon of Kanto. Maybe that's the reason that Red's the champion. In this telling of events, maybe Red just kind of swiped all 3 Pokeballs off the desk and ran. And actually, speaking of the Pikachu, it seems most likely that the Red that appears in Gold, Silver, and Crystal might be the Red from Pokemon Yellow, who actually is able to obtain all 3 starter Pokemon and starts with Pikachu, which is his highest level Pokemon. So yeah, I don't know where that leaves us. I guess the next place we can look is the next oldest medium, which is the Pokemon Adventures manga. This manga is, I think, still going today. It's gone on for a long, long time. And Red is there, Blue is there, and so too is the character of Green, who later on got kind of combined with the character of Leaf that appeared in Fire Red and Leaf Green. So in the manga telling of the story, at least, they're the same character. Green and Leaf are synonymous, and we actually also see this in the card game with Green's exploration, but I'll get to that a little bit later. Now you might think this is super straightforward. Red is named Red, so he probably chose Charizard, and Blue is called Blue, so Blastoise. Right? Green and Leaf, they obviously chose Venusaur. Well, okay, first of all, in America and Western continents, Blue and Green have kind of swapped names to where they are originally in Japan, and again, this is basically the same as the boxes, the main Pokemon version swapping names from Blue to Green version. I guess they wanted the rival to match up with that. So the protagonist of the manga is still Red. But in this part of the world, Green is now Blue and Blue is now Green. Colors! But regardless, Red's starter is not a Charmander. He does not have a Charizard. In fact, his starting Pokemon is a Poliwag. That's right, before the Pokemon Adventures manga kicks off, Red has a Poliwag. Yeah, by the time the adventures actually start, it's evolved into a Poliwhirl, and then the first Pokemon he catches is a Bulbasaur, which of course he eventually evolves into a Venusaur. So for this one, I'm gonna give Venusaur to Red. That's kind of his starter here, and it rivals his rival of the Pokemon manga, who has Charmeleon. That being the character of Blue, who again evolves the Charmeleon into a Charizard, and later on, we meet Green, who has a Blastoise. So none of the primary colours match up, but we have something to work from here. Red has Venusaur, Blue has Charizard, and Green has Blastoise. Got nearly tongue-tied there, Blastoise. However, this is flipped over when we look at the Pokemon animated series that doesn't have these characters, but has versions of them, at least versions of Red and Blue, in Ash and Gary. Now, we all know Ash's starting Pokemon is Pikachu, and he does end up with all 3 Kanto starters. But Gary very clearly started with a Squirtle, and we find this out not until the end of the Johto League, where we learn, oh yeah, his starter Pokemon was Squirtle that he began with from Pallet Town, which, fun fact, was actually the Pokemon that Ash wanted to pick at the beginning of his journey before any of the others. But yeah, Gary has Blastoise, and to rival that, Ash's Charizard has always taken a very special place on his team, more so than Bulbasaur, more so than Squirtle. It's first of all the only one to reach its final evolution, but like in the Pokemon First movie, for example, we see a Blastoise trainer, a Venusaur trainer, and then Ash is the Charizard trainer. Whether you agree that Charizard is his signature Kanto starter or not, I know that his Bulbasaur is like incredibly strong and personally one of my favorites. I would put a point here into the Red Ash characters having Charizard, while the Blue Gary characters having Blastoise. But again, you might not decide to count this. That said, the idea of the Red characters having Charizard and the Blue characters having Blastoise is echoed in Pokemon Origins, where Red has a Charizard that even Mega evolves into Mega Charizard X, and Blue has a Blastoise, which we then see again in Pokemon Generations, where Blue is taking on the League in the first episode, and again, has a Blastoise with him. Also, in the Pokemon movie I Choose You, Ash again with Charizard, and we see a little cameo of Gary picking Squirtle, so lines up. And at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, Ash and Gary aside, what's going on with Green? What's going on with Leaf? Well, the character of Leaf looks different to the manga character of Green, and she was introduced in Pokemon Leaf Green and Fire Red, where instead of doing like Water Blue and Fire Red, they decided to go back to their roots, literally, nice pun, and do a Leaf Green version to match Japan's Green version. And with now a female playable character, they put Leaf into the game, and like I say, in the manga, these characters kind of got merged into one. Leaf and Green, the same character, Leaf Green, that makes sense, it works, but being a player character has no definitive starter. But based on all of these other tellings of Red characters having Charizard and Blue characters having Blastoise, you know, aside from the original manga, you go ahead and assume, well, Leaf, Green, it's got to be Venusaur. Green would appear again as Green in Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, along with the other Master Trainers, Red and Blue. And here, much like the original manga, Red has a Venusaur, Blue has a Charizard, and Green has a Blastoise. And in fact, as I mentioned earlier, this is echoed again in the Pokemon trading card game, where full arts of these characters can be seen with their Kanto starter Pokemon. Green has Squirtle, Blue has Charmander, Red has Bulbasaur, and I want all 3 of these cards because they look amazing. And this actually, believe it or not, leaves us with a little bit of a pattern. There is a dynamic trio here that kind of bounces off of each other. No matter the medium, the archetype of the character of Red always uses either a Venusaur or a Charizard, but never a Blastoise. The archetype of Blue, whether that's Blue or Gary or whatever, always uses a Charizard or a Blastoise, but never a Venusaur. And the archetype of Green, Leaf, always uses a Blastoise, and to fit the trio, you would expect there's some version where she uses a Venusaur. And there is. Now, in Pokemon Master, Singer Suit Leaf uses a Venusaur. Completing the cycle, completing the trio. Red, apart from in the canons where he uses all 3 of the Pokemon, like in Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, Red never has a Blastoise. Blue never has a Venusaur, and Green Leaf never ever has a Charizard. So there you go, the dynamic trio solved, except hang on, in one canon, This pattern is completely ruined. In the really obscure My Partner Pikachu manga, for the first time ever, we see the character of Blue with a Venusaur. Very scary looking Venusaur, I might add, but a Venusaur nonetheless breaking the pattern completely. I guess he just couldn't decide which starter was the best. So if you're still watching my ramblings and you're still there, let me know in the comments, not only which is the best Kanto starter, but maybe which is the best pair of Kanto starters to have. Are you more like Red with Charizard and Venusaur, more like Blue with Charizard and Blastoise, or more like Green with Blastoise and Venusaur? What's your preference? Let me know in the comments. And of course, thank you so much to DNA for sponsoring this. I've been thinking about this topic for a long time. Thank you to them for sponsoring this video. Again, click that link at the top of the description, download the game, get it today on the Google Play or Apple Store, and with that being said, so hi Pokemon Masters.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master!
A special thank you to those of you supporting this channel on Patreon, including the big patrons of the month, Nick Charles and Bugcatcher J. Thanks, heroes. By the way, it's Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur's the best Kanto star.